Hey everybody, Kaysha here, and today I am here with my friend
Jennifer Guskin.
and we need your help. We are right now working on advocacy for combating human trafficking, and here's why. So we'll give you a little bit of background of our story and why we're doing what we're doing.
I was adopted as an infant by a couple who sold me throughout my childhood. I have been to Epstein Island and on multiple Lolita Express types of flights as a child. After I went public, Child Protective Services opened a substance-exposed newborn case, even though all tests came back negative, and they told me that if I wouldn't stop posting on social media, I would never see my daughter again. I started to connect how I was adopted as an infant and then sold throughout my childhood, how many other children who have been through the adoption, foster, and CPS pipelines have also been trafficked to Epstein's Elk.
And as many of you guys know already, based on the work that we do at the Karis Project, I'm an American Indian born in Canada under the Jay Treaty. My father and I were exposing the improper contagion mitigation for the COVID pandemic in early 2020. As a result of this, I lost everything: a house, cars, corporate assets, jobs. Bank accounts were shut down in Canada, and I fled to the US as an American Indian, fully documented, and was trafficked by rogue agents in ICE and other agents in the government, and forced to live with single American men. I was even imprisoned for 7 months initially, and then trafficked throughout the states. Put on full surveillance tracking and wasn't allowed to leave the city, house, or state without permission, or work without permission. And that happened for many years, and I was on and off the streets because of that, and in and out of shelters. And that is just a small example of what many go through in this trafficking system, be it the family courts or otherwise. So that's why the Karis Project will be going to DC to speak with representatives and do live reporting. We're also going to be in contact with other families who are dealing with human trafficking, and through the CPS courts or through any other means, lesser versions of trafficking, and doing reporting on them live and otherwise. We will also be working on we ultimately want to shine light on what's going on with the trafficking here in the US. And we also want to meet with various agencies in DC, and we'll be going back and forth for training sessions and other things so that we can be better equipped to help people deal with resolving some of the issues that we're seeing. We will also be putting forth petitions in government to help people get justice, and that's something that we have been working on already so far. We have some petitions that have recently been filed in the state of Colorado, Michigan, Texas, and Arizona, and we will be continuing.
But we can't do this on our own. We will be traveling to events and training courses, as well as DC on a consistent basis. We also have to get acceptable equipment, such as computers, cameras, interview gear, etc. There will be other miscellaneous costs that would also be like gas, food, and rooms if necessary.
So that is why we are working towards combating human trafficking, and that is exactly why we need your help. We cannot do this alone, and most what the Karis Project does is on its own dime. And so we do love and appreciate each and every one of you that support us and all the work that we do. As many of you know, we also live stream on Lindell TV every day. And everything we do, like I said, is on our own dime. So we appreciate all the love and support and all the people who do donate. And we would very much love and appreciate that still. Thank you everybody for your time and considerations, and thank you for all the support, and we will catch you guys in the next one, and hopefully we might see you guys in the future and come across you and maybe be able to do some great things together.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Karis Project podcast. Today we are with Kaysha and Sherry. We are going to have some discussions. Going to pull up a clip here and discuss it, since there's a lot of this hot button topic with that girl who went ahead and used the racial slur against the child, and then it erupted a whole bunch of stuff where people are now paying attention to that when Democrats were getting arrested for child trafficking. People were more concerned about hurt feelings and so forth. And I think that that's a discussion that people need to really have, because a lot of people are, it's being used to help divide the people and take away from more important aspects. And I think that this is something that we really need to start having honest conversations about, instead of um, getting down into this tribalism, because it doesn't matter whether it's racism, Marxism, feminism, whatever ism that they have now. They're using this to divide people and to distract away from the certain situation. I'm not going to pull up the clip about that woman, because that's neither here nor there. But we're going to look at something that happened a way long time ago, which people can sit down and see what any type of prejudice, because you see this happening with gay sixers, the guys that were at Coots and all of this kind of stuff, on how this affects people. And if we turn a blind eye to anybody, then it's open to everyone. This is why due process is super important, regardless of whether you don't like a person or not, whether you hate their views, right? Whether they're liberal or conservative, whatever. But let's just go to the clip and then we'll discuss this.
Not guilty of.
And Vincent Simmons has been sitting for 43 years in prison as an innocent man.
After spending 44 years wrongfully imprisoned, a man has finally won back his freedom. But the women who put him there show absolutely no remorse. Back in 1977, Vincent Simmons was just taking a walk through a park when police arrested him out of nowhere. He was taken, along with 6 other men, for a lineup. Simmons was the only one in handcuffs, and tragically, he was the one the girls picked. Turns out, 2 14-year-old white twins, Karen and Sharon Sanders, had claimed that 2 weeks earlier, a black man had assaulted them on a remote back road. They said they met a black man at a bar while hanging out with their cousin, Keith Laborde, and offered him a ride. They claimed that after getting into the car, the man pulled a knife, forced them into the trunk, and then attacked them. When police asked the twins to describe the man's appearance, they couldn't give any real details. Instead, they said, all black men look the same. Simmons was dragged into an interrogation room where he was brutally assaulted. Still in handcuffs, he was shoved to the ground and kicked in the head by detectives. When he tried to stand up, Deputy Robert Laborde shot him in the chest, missing his heart by just inches. At trial, despite there being no fingerprints, no DNA, and despite Simmons having an alibi backed by multiple witnesses, he was still found guilty. The jury dismissed all of his witnesses just because they had minor infractions like littering, parking tickets, or disorderly conduct. In the end, Simmons was sentenced to 100 years in prison with no chance of parole. While locked up, Simmons never stopped fighting to prove his innocence. Starting in 1977, he filed motion after motion asking to see evidence related to his case, but every request was denied. It wasn't until 1993, 16 years later, that he finally got copies of the hidden documents. Those files revealed shocking facts. Medical reports showed Sharon Sanders' hymen was intact, and neither of the twins had any bruises or signs of physical assault. The real story? The twins lied, trying to cover up inappropriate behavior with their cousin. Finally, in 2022, at 70 years old, Vincent Simmons walked free. No apology, no compensation. Only his lawyer, Justin Bonus, gripping his hand and telling him,
Free, man. You free, brother. You free. You done.
Meanwhile, the people responsible for stealing nearly half a century of his life said,
we still have our anxiety. We still have our depressions. We still have our fears.
A 25-year-old man lost 44 years of his life because of a stranger's lie. Should the cops, the judge, the jury, and those twin sisters be held accountable for ruining his life? Tell us what you think in the comments.
That right there happens more often than you think. Can't hear you, Sherry. Can't hear you.
Yeah, that happens way more often than people think, because I know even here we have the same few things that have happened, and innocent get putting away, the guilty run the streets. And as for should those 2 twins be held accountable, absolutely. They should be put in jail for the rest of their life, because the 44 years that he served is what they should be serving for the lie that they told about him.
The judge and the jury should go to prison because they disregarded his evidence. and wouldn't allow any of that, and they dismissed it for all of those things to put an innocent man behind bars. But
also noting the fact that their hymen was still intact and that they were covering up things that they did inappropriately with their cousin. Like, what?
Yeah.
But
so to cover up their own incest and maybe pedophilia that was happening, they ended up putting this innocent man in jail.
Yes.
Like, what? Like that? What?
But
wow. They should. Yeah. Wow.
This is where, when you look at, a lot of people say, well, oh, black people commit crimes higher rates than white people and all these things. And then they just look at this and automatically assume it's a criminal. Then they had in the public perception that you're seeing this happen all the time. This is why people have to look at the facts of the case critically, not just saying, oh, well, even if 90% of them were criminals, which is not the case, but even if that was the case, 10% or not, and even if they're a criminal, did they commit that crime? Because if you allow the justice system to go ahead and imprison any innocent person, regardless of whether you like them or not, you open the door for everything to happen. Because if they were not allowing things like this to happen, it would never happen to the J6ers. You wouldn't see this stuff happen to the guys at Coots and all of these things. And this is where discrimination and prejudice of any form, whether it's racism, whether it's you don't like the political party, whether they're poor, whatever the case is, any discrimination, when you allow that to blind your judgment, these kinds of things happen, because this is absolutely ridiculous. Man lost 44 years of his life. It's like David Milgaard.
Well, everybody sits back and go ahead, Kaysha.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, the kids, they also said, I don't know, all black men look the same. So it shows that they have a very skewed mindset already, and prejudice. It's like you have to be very cautious with any victim that shows that they have a prejudice or wrong set of thinking, not because of whatever. It's just that they have an inability to actually identify correctly the circumstances of the situation, which means you have to take a lot of what they say with a grain of salt until you can get all of the facts of what has happened so that you can effectively go and help someone. Now, they've actually allowed an actual predator and an actual criminal to stay free and go around continuing to reoffend. Because why were a child, twins, and their cousin doing atrocious acts together? Who groomed them into that behavior? Who done it to them? And you've allowed them. They said, oh, we still have our anxieties and fears. Yeah, because you guys were getting abused by someone else and you decided to defer it to an innocent man. I think that should be actually the death penalty. When you ruin somebody, you don't just ruin that man's life. How many other people's lives did you ruin? You took away his life. It doesn't even matter that he's free. Everyone will think that this man done it for the rest of his life just because prejudice for one and wrongful conviction. They'll be like, oh, he just found a loophole to get out. You destroying someone's life like that, you should get the highest form of consequence under the law. You should get capital punishment because it would prevent people from wanting to do it again. The judge or other people from doing it.
The judge and the jury for sure. 100%.
Yes, yeah, them, not the kids who done it, because they were kids and they should go to jail. They should go to jail. But the judges, they knew exactly what they were doing. They were adults. They were trained as judges. They went to school. They have no excuse.
No, like they did it on purpose.
Yes.
This whole thing.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
And I
yes, 100%.
Using the two twins, I mean, just dealing with all the people that I deal with and things like that. Like those twins knew exactly what they were doing. They knew they were deflecting off somebody, because I know even back when I was a teenager and the troubles and stuff that I was getting into, I knew exactly how to play the system. I knew exactly how to take the heat off me and put it on someone else, or take the heat off someone else and put it on me so that they didn't get in trouble. That's not something that should be ignored. I think these women and the judge and the jury and whoever was involved in this case, the Crown, all of them, all need to be put to jail, or like you said, the death penalty, because they destroyed an innocent person's life.
Well, what I'm saying is the level.
yeah, like there's no justification, and that's the thing, and we can't even veer off and give them any type of lenient justification on this, because this is what has got us here. And I mean, going back, if you go back to when this originally happened, Black people were targeted, and I had a lot of friends that were Black people because we protected each other. But it was they used this situation as an example against the Black people, from a white
Yes.
women against the Black people, which then carried on
Yes.
to set a whole big racism stage for everybody to play on. It's disgusting.
Yes.
Absolutely
And
disgusting.
yes, and where I'm coming from is that I think that because the judges actually created the circumstance for this to happen, and the people who were involved in manipulating using the weakness or the prejudice of those little girls to do this, where the little girls were in a state where they were already being abused and something weird was going on, and someone came along and took advantage of that so that they could intentionally abuse and persecute someone else. The judges' capacity for what they done, as since they went to school to become lawyers and then became judges, they went through that whole process. They should have the highest. The highest consequence. Their consequence should be worse even than the twins, because what they did on a level was so much worse and more disgusting than what those women did. Even though they should also get an extreme consequence, because that you can't get away with stuff like that. You can't.
Well, what ended up happening, the prosecutor knew this was wrong. The judge knew this was wrong. The jury knew this was wrong. And they still allowed those women to lie and to cover that up and to allow this wrong to happen. Now, what was brought out there was, and this is critical, and a lot of this, people think that this went away completely, and it did not. And I knew growing up in Winnipeg, I knew that the words of a white woman would be greater than any evidence that I would bring as a Black man. And this is still true today.
Oh, yes.
Because I'm watching this happening in real time. And this happened with my daughter, my youngest daughter. I watched it happen with my oldest daughter. So I watched people bringing in lies and contradictory statements that are just unreasonable, completely ludicrous and out there. And they're doing this. And then people will believe that rather than looking at the evidence themselves. There's other reasons.
Yes, in front of them.
There's other reasons, don't get me wrong. But I do still see the fact that these things still exist. And people will, and I see it on social media where it's extremely over exaggerated. The average person doesn't think this way. But what people don't understand is that there are people that are racists of all different races. They're very kind to their own race, but they're very terrible to other people, and then they hide it. And people think, well, John, he's such a great guy. Why would he be terrible to these white people? Or why would Bill, he's such a great guy, why would he be terrible to these Black people? They think that each person is getting treated the same way the others, but they're not. And they're creating more of a problem. And this has to be put under control, because they're trying to destroy everything that people are doing by just sowing more seeds of hate or division, like even the left-right divide. It's nonsense.
Yeah. Growing up in school, I remember in middle school, there was this one guy, I was friends with him and his older brother, and all of us used to walk the same direction home. I was friends with the one guy because he was I think he was in my class or whatever, but his older brother was pretty racist. He took off his chain belt and beat me one day and called me the N-word. The school did nothing. Another time, one of an upperclassman, she poured hot macaroni and cheese on my leg at lunch, unprovoked, and then I beat the living daylights out of her. I got in trouble for self-defense. These kids were white, and they would tell me that I was the bad guy. I was the instigator when I was literally defending myself, because they were white kids. And then they would say that, oh, we're calling the police. I was like, I dare you to call the police, because it's self-defense. I would love for them to come in and look into this. And people don't think about how a lot of this stuff is because they have the idea that these white kids are good kids, and any retaliation that you do to help yourself as a person of color, you are automatically seen as the evil person. You can't do anything to help yourself in this situation, because no matter what you say, no matter how many facts there is or evidence, there were even other kids that saw and said, no, Kaysha done nothing wrong. She defended herself. They literally, it was unprovoked, and they did not care. The white teachers, they were like, nope, she's wrong. She's punished. So it's like, people have to understand, yes, sometimes there are people who do things wrong that are people of color, of course, but there's a lot of people who have prejudice too, and they're going to allow those people to suffer just because they think that they should. And that needs to stop.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Like when I saw that, I was like, that is insane. And we even watched this with David Milgaard in Canada. This guy, he was from Winnipeg. He was 19 years old. He was on his way to BC. They were in Saskatoon. And he got arrested and put there for a rape and murder of this woman. And there was a guy that had an MO very similar to what they were seeing, and he was a known rapist. His name was Larry Fisher. And they let him off, and they put David Milgaard in jail. He got out after 22 and a half, almost 23 years. He finally got exonerated from DNA and everything else like that. And they found, lo and behold, it was actually Larry Fisher. And he ended up raping and murdering more women that would have still been alive had they actually went ahead and got the right person. And David Milgaard, he was a white guy, right? Like, I mean, so they protected a rapist and put an innocent man in jail for almost like 23 years. And I thought to myself, I'm like, if they're going to do this to white people, they'll do this to anybody. These people, there's something very wrong with these people. When you're going to take an innocent man, you know that this fits the crime of this other rapist and murderer. Why would you not? Why would you? Why?
Yeah, racism is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sherry. Yeah,
I was just going to say, it seems like if you look throughout life, it seems like they have these stages where things might be going too smoothly, so they have to set an example. So they'll choose a person and they make a massive example out of them, and that sets the stage for a little while. Then when that starts, wearing off, then they do it again and again and again. And like I personally can't tell you, I've been to court so many times and watched so many of these predators actually get off and not actually get any time. And they're repeat predators. I've seen them multiple times in court. And the victims are being told, well, you instigated it. No, they didn't instigate it. Some rape is rape. Like rape is rape. You don't get to manipulate rape. But that's the thing. That's what they do. Like you look throughout all of history, every few years they will bring something forward that sets the stage for how everything is going to go. Like you look at the Coots thing right now, that's setting the stage. This file that you just brought up right now, like that set the stage for way back then, and that pushed it forward. So really, and now we got Carney. That's the next stage that was being set, right?
Yeah, I think when it comes down to assessing situations, I don't believe in making victims responsible for rapists choosing to rape because a rapist is going to rape. When it comes down to it, though, I think people need to be vigilant and wise about their decisions. Because, for example, like I went to visit my mother one time, and she actually had a pimp come over to the house and sleep over, and he was trying to get in my room in the night, and he was a white guy. But I told her about it. She didn't believe me because she was like, he doesn't even like Black people. And I understood from that, your racist tendency will allow you to put me in situations where very clearly someone will try to rape me or they'll successfully rape me, and I will be at the consequence of that. So then I understood, I can't trust you. I can't be around you because you're going to put me in danger. If someone is a rapist, or someone is dangerous, a woman needs to be able to say, you know what? I can't put myself in a line of danger. It's like putting crack in front of a crackhead. They're going to smoke it. They're going to exploit you because they're addicted to that exploitation. And this is where we need to be more cautious and more vigilant because danger is literally everywhere. And in that sense, I would say that yes, you're responsible for how you protect yourself, but you're not responsible for someone's choice to abuse you. That's not your fault.
That's right.
Well, and I, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. It's okay.
No, I was just sitting down and saying, when you allow any type of prejudice, no matter what it is, into the justice system or into the way that you deal with things, then you are incapable of assessing or judging situations. And I see when I see across social media, and it doesn't matter if it comes from black people, it comes from white people, comes from a lot of the stuff that I see, or even if it's a political thing or whatever, a lot of this is just emotional rhetoric to get people riled up with absent of any rational thought or facts. And then if you say something different, then people swarm you and just try to overwhelm you just by shaming you into doing things or attacking you, assassinating your character, trying to point out this, that, or the other than the facts. And
Yeah.
we can't get any kind of justice if this is the case. This is why we're seeing all of this stuff. And then when you ask them and address the issue, they're like, oh, well, what about this? Well, you could sit down and say, well, what about this? What about this? Are you ever going to deal with the problem? No. Well, let's deal with problem here that's in front of us. And once that's solved, let's move to the other one. Because nobody should be doing wrong to another human being. But we want to make sure that when we prosecute someone, that we have the right person and that the punishment fits the crime. Otherwise, we're just going to have
Right.
more of these problems over and over again. Like, it's just never going to stop.
Exactly. And my confusion is if somebody is if you're saying that someone has been raped and there is a genuine victim and you want to catch the criminal, why are you not concerned with the actual catching the actual criminal? Like, you're so racist in your mind, you have so much prejudice, you would rather put an innocent man away and let another child predator run free raping kids than actually catch the real guy. You hate black people or the minority, or maybe if you're racist against white people, whatever you're racist against, you're so hateful towards a group of people that you will let a pedophile go free and continue to rape and prey on children. That logic doesn't make any sense in my mind. You were willing to allow chaos and dissension in your own country to the vulnerable and the weakest part of society, which is the most innocent, most precious part of our society, the children, because you hate a group of people. What kind of sick and twisted individual? You have to be a pedophile to be like the mind. In my mind, the mind of a sorry, there's kids going by. The mind of a racist and a pedophile is identical, because for you to be so racist that you will allow a pedophile to continue and operate, you have to be you have to be the same. You have to be a predator yourself, because no one in their right mind, even if I hated somebody, if I absolutely, and I don't hate anybody, but if I couldn't stand somebody and they had a child that was in danger, I would still help them. If there was some risk or threat to their kid that was in danger, or a child that was in danger, I would work together with them to save the child.
We just got to take a commercial break and we'll come back on the other side.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
All right. If anybody needs any MyPillow products, go to mypillow.com/Karis or call 800-845-2942. Use the promo code Karis. If you want to fight the human trafficking, you can go give it the donor box right there at the bottom where the Give Send Go. Or if you're watching on Facebook, Rumble, or on BitChute, you will be able to see some of the links, or you can go to all my links /the Karis Project and find ways to support. If you like the content, subscribe, share out the content so people can see, because these are important discussions. And so, kind of circling back, when I just look at this, right? Like a lot of people have, even when they talk about the liberal conservative, they act like certain insanity only belongs to liberals or people on the left, which is also not true. A lot of people are more closer to the center politically anyway, and most people want a lot of the same things. I don't know anybody that wants to sit down and say, hey, I want somebody to rape my kid, or I want someone to rob me, or don't want to be able to work or be able to afford a place. I don't hear anybody saying that. So we all have some basic things that we all have in common. How we get there is a little bit different, but we all want some kind of security, be able to live, work, enjoy our life in the way that we want to. And so why are we worried so much about the people that are next to us? Because who's creating, for example, the anti-white racism? And they talk about this a lot. And how I can't get a job, and all these policies are put in place that allow minorities to get jobs, which I've never actually been a recipient of this, because I don't agree with the government, so I'm never going to get favor from the government anyway. So, but there are these policies there. But who put the policies there? Right? The government. And it's like the government in Canada and most Western countries is mostly white. So who's the big problem? There are people that look like you that don't like you, right? So that it tells you something. You can't just trust somebody or believe someone because of their race. And I know this because they will often send somebody who looks like you, who sounds like you, who's like you, or even the same political stripes if you're the same race, whatever, so that you will bring your guard down and they'll stab you in the back, right? Judas was one of the 12. Right? And what did he do? And you look at Brutus, he was one of Caesar's so-called buddies, first to stab him in the back, right? So we've got to put our thinking caps on, guys. Like, I mean, this is atrocious. Like seeing and look at the J6ers. Look at the guys there. People were celebrating the guys in Coots getting what 6.5 years. I'm like, are you crazy? They should have got no time.
Yep.
Right.
But that same prejudiced mindset is why those J6 people are even in prison like the way that they are now, and same with what they've done to Trump all these years. Like, I made a post on X the other day, and I said that America hates Black people more than pedophiles, and it's at 2 million views now. And you would be shocked that most of the comments are people saying that pedophiles don't steal my bikes, or they're one and the same. We would like to kill them both equally, and if we could get rid of most of them by 2026, that we'd be happy. And they think that they hate, and some said we even hate Blacks more than pedophiles. They confirm what I've said in the post, and then people are like, no, it's not true, because some people are not like that. But I'm like, obviously not every person is like that, but this is how bad the media has placed in the mind of people a false reality. And instead of letting people's character in front of them determine what's going on, they're teaching people to judge people based on how they feel, so that they can't actually identify the real danger in front of them.
What I identified, and I began to understand this from a young child, racism or any type of harsh prejudice where you can dehumanize another person is strongly associated with sexual predators and pedophiles. Because when you think that somebody else is not like an actual human being, whether they're a different political stripe, whether they're a different religion, whether they're a different race, then you don't think of them as human, and you can do whatever you want to them. And a lot of these people in these accounts that are doing these things, that are coming up and chasing people. A lot of those people are pedophiles. They are.
Yeah. Yeah. And if they aren't directly, they come from a background of having it in their family.
Yes, and they're protecting them.
Like we've had, this has been something that's been instilled in people since God knows how long back. But it seems like the more that we bring awareness, the more people go to sleep, which is absolutely another role that the government is playing, right? Because as soon as people start noticing what's going on, then they make something drastic happen in the world to take your eyes off what's really happening. And then next thing you know, you'll ignore that because this extreme fire or something chaotic is going on over here and everybody's in protection mode and survival mode. So, when that calms down and people start waking up again, and then the government does boom, another thing. Or, like everything you hear on well, you guys know, on any type of social media nowadays, like mainstream media is a lie. Like half the time, you even Facebook posts, you can tell, you can go in and you copy and find out if you see a post and oh my goodness. But then when you dig into that post, oh, that was AI created, right? Generated. So like some of the things that are going on now are just everything to deflect, where, one thing I'm grateful for here is I've been working with people so much here, a big group of us. We've actually went from a very small group, 6 people, to over 200 people here that are actually doing everything they can to wake up others. So that's amazing for here.
Well, what you're seeing a lot of the times, especially on social media, they're giving a lot of the wrong people megaphones and platforms to do things. Because, true. When you're looking at people saying, oh, well, this person did this and that, well, if they did, then call the police and have them arrested. If they're a criminal, right?
Exactly.
People sit down and say this, they're like, oh, well, if you do this and that, you'll get false arrests. I'm like, you know what?
However, it doesn't work like that, though.
Yes.
It doesn't work like that because, okay, I'm just going to use the example here. People, you can ask any given person here in Grand Prairie, what do you do when crime happens in your home, in your street, on your street, in your backyard? If you see something, they will tell you they deal with it because they can't phone the police because the police don't show up.
No.
Okay, I'll give you an example.
So what I'm trying to say though is that's another way that they've twisted it, because to program the people is because they've backed off being like arresting these criminals and not doing what they're supposed to do and putting it in the hands of the people.
Yes, but I was saying, just before you go and say that, Kaysha, what I was saying is that because I'm a political enemy of the current regime that we're under, if the police had any wherewithal to arrest me, they would take it and throw me in prison and full stop.
Yes.
Right? Because I've exposed so many crimes. They're just salivating for something for them to do that. So I'm like, okay, if you think I'm doing something, then by all means, please call the police. Oh, wait, you can't because of all the evidence of the crimes that they'd have to deal with if they arrested me. Right?
Exactly. And that's exactly it. Because, for example, someone come out, a decent sized page on X, that they are doing a documentary on me, a poor person with literally nothing but my life and the air that I breathe, saying that they're making a documentary on me because I'm an illegal and I should be deported and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, if that's the case, why don't you call ICE and have them show up to my door? Because I met Tom Homan. I spoke to him myself personally twice. So it's like, if that's the case, call the police. Oh, wait, you can't. Because for one, then they're going to come, they're going to see my documentation again, and then they're going to realize that all of the stuff that was done to me, they don't want people to actually investigate all the crimes that happened to us, because then people will start going to jail. If the case is true, if you actually are a victim of a crime, you don't make documentaries of people, you don't make posts of people, you go to the police, whether they do anything about it or not, or investigate, you always report it to the police and put things in the right direction. These people are just liars.
Victims don't go and hunt people down and prey on them.
No, they don't.
Put them in situations to trap them. They want to be away from people who've done something, right? Like, I mean, this is, so people are going to do whatever they're going to do. And this is what you have to understand. Social media is a vacuum. It's an echo chamber.
Exactly.
It's filled with a lot of controlled stuff. And honestly, like, I listen to people and I listen to a lot of the posts that sit down, and it seems like I'm listening to AI. It's like,
yeah,
AI is programming people, and people are thinking that they're doing all this stuff. I'm like, AI might be beneficial to do some mundane tasks, but you still have to oversee it because it's very biased, it's very skewed, and it does some weird things, right?
Yeah. It's the AI is programmed to, the more you use it, the more you stop thinking for yourself. And then the more that you stop thinking for yourself, you get these key things out of your mind that you don't have to, like, I mean, common sense is almost gone as it is. So these little words that they're trying to eliminate out of your mind using AI is something that is actually going to be a problem in the very near future as well.
Yes, the reason why, one of the biggest reasons why I use AI is to dumb things down so people can understand, because that's really the biggest thing. Because I mean, it's bad at doing very many things. It's bad.
I know, it's really funny. I use it for when I have a difficult client that's not understanding what I'm saying. I usually will go in and recalibrate this or reiterate this for me in at a grade 3 level or something.
Yes.
Can help me. They're not getting it, right? And unfortunately, that's where it boils down to. And like, people are looking at it and, oh no, AI is right. AI told me this, AI told me that. And I'm like, oh my goodness, is AI never wrong? Well, it's not usually. I said, okay, I'll ask it a question. I'll prove it almost every time that AI is wrong. And they're like, well, now what are you going to do when you know it's wrong? What about all those answers that you just used with AI? How do you know they're right? They're like,
yeah.
Oh. And I said, exactly. Don't let AI take your mind, because as soon as you have zero mind control and stability in your mind, they control you 100%.
Yes, they make you dependent on it. And it's like, they're like, oh, well, I use it to write my documents. I'm like, why? AI is stupid, right?
Stupid, exactly. I know people who even use AI to tell them what to do in their relationships. I'm like, that is a big mistake. I asked AI a question at one point about a relationship scenario, and I was like, and AI kept trying to push me. It was Grok, and Grok kept trying to push me to do and to say something to the person, and I was like, this is breaking boundaries. Grok is actually advising me to do something that would break the boundaries that man has set with me, and that would be harmful to the relationship. I was like, you are incorrect. I was like, Grok is stupid, because and I was like, Grok is taking an emotional approach on this front. And I was like, that's very strange to me, because Grok is an AI tool. So why is it actually promoting something that's not logical if it understands, you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was confusing to me. I was like, no, Grok.
If you look at the creator of Grok, you look at the creator of all these AI things, of course they're trying to do that, because they're trying to destroy families and people.
Well, and the more I told Grok, the more I evaded the response Grok was giving me. Grok was like, so are you going to say this? Are you more leaning towards doing this? And I was like, no, I'm gonna do this. Actually, I'm gonna see how this plays out as I get more information, or blah blah blah. And it was a very simple scenario, and it failed. That's why, and the reason I did that was to test, because my friend had done this, and I was like, I don't think that's a good idea. And then I challenged it myself, and I was like, no, people using Grok for relationship advice is a huge fail. But a lot of women are using Grok in place of a man in their life because they think, and I've heard many women say this, many women are using ChatGPT in place of a man to help them do things, and it's not working. It's not working.
No. I mean, you can only have somebody else think for you for so long, and eventually you're going to have to. You're just going to lose your brain completely, or you're going to say, "Screw this! I want actually interaction." Like, I don't understand myself why, and I know COVID has a huge play on it, but I really have a hard time understanding why people are so scared of the human connection now. Like, they were during the COVID the whole pandemic thing. They've been programmed just that short little time. You look at that short little time, how easily it was for them to program them to don't be around people, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. And now here we are. The world's wide open. You can interact and you can be around people, but people are just like, no, I just want to stay home.
Yes, and this is where we're having problems, is that we need to go back to doing things a little bit, reverse things. They're not saying that you can't use some of these tools. You cannot rely on them principally to do all the things that you're doing, because when it takes away the fact of you having to think about what you need to get done, then you become weak. Like, our minds are powerful. It's like a muscle. The more we use it, the better it becomes. It's like,
it's called discipline.
Yes, it's like all of this stuff that they were using to, like, MK Ultras and all this kind of stuff. When you get through this, you become far more resilient, and it's that's just the way it is. So adversity is not
Yeah.
necessarily a bad thing.
Yes, and Grok cannot actually predict human nature. Like, Grok cannot predict because he doesn't, Grok or ChatGPT, not just Grok in general, but ChatGPT. I say Grok because that's all, like, I don't really use ChatGPT. I don't even really use Grok, but it's the only one I've played around with. But ChatGPT doesn't know how to teach people boundaries or discipline, or how to have critical thinking or create circumstances for their own positive progression in their life. All ChatGPT can do is spit out responses based on the information it's given, and a certain set of
And
patterns.
your
But if something
personality.
deviates from that pattern, if something deviates from that pattern, it doesn't have the ability to tell you, okay, this is how you need to operate, or it can't teach you critical thinking or
It can't,
discipline and
because
boundaries, and that's what you need.
it's because it can't think, and it doesn't
Yes, it can't
understand
think for itself.
boundaries, because these are inherent human
Yes.
qualities, right? Like, you
Yes, and the fact. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
it's just, that's just the way it is. Just kind of shifting back to kind of where we kind of went off a little bit on a tangent, but this was part and parcel of what they're doing, because they're bringing in bias into people, and they want bias. You know why? Because bias is inherent weakness. If you've been given a faulty decision making process by introducing prejudice of any kind, you will always get to the wrong answer. And this is what they want people to do, because it distracts them. I knew this from a kid, that all of the stuff the government was doing was divide and conquer, because if you're fighting with your neighbor, you're never really mad at the person who's really bending you over. And they're using the government to do this. And the more they stoke this, the more the government gets away. It's like that whole thing with that woman. Lo and behold, there are Democrats getting arrested for child sex trafficking, and they're flooding this. Nobody's caring about the people in government that are getting arrested for raping kids. They're worried more about, well, the race issue.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
And they're dividing whatever they can do to divide in any way. But they'll use any tool. That's
Yes.
plain and plain nowadays.
Exactly.
And this is where people have to start, like they got to put on their big boy pants and start really dealing with stuff, and especially the men,
Yeah.
because it's way more disgusting when I see men running around with hurt feelings and being led by emotion. We're not women. We're not emotional creatures like women are. We don't have to look after and soothe babies and all that kind of stuff. We're supposed to be the logical ones to go out and deal with the threat. And if you're sitting there crying with your thumb in your mouth, sitting in the corner as a man, it's not going to help anybody. Nobody.
Yeah, like I even seen people online saying, "Oh, well, why are people of color so abusive to animals?" I was like, Denmark literally has legalized bestiality. Like at this point, and everyone's promoting, "Oh, Europe this, and we should be more like Europe, and we should only let the white Europeans over." I'm like, the white Europeans that believe in bestiality, the white Europeans that have a socialist system and communist system, who have no regard for the American values or patriotism of the Constitution. They have no value of God the way that the Americans do. No country in the world has what America has. And if they did, people would be running to them in droves, but they're not. They're running to the US in droves. So I'm like, at this point, we need to just see people for who they are and just let the person in front of us tell us who they are so that we can actually solve problems.
That's it. Their actions and their character dictate whether they are doing wrong or right, not their skin color, not
Yep.
their religion, not their political beliefs, not their financial status, none of that. The actions alone is, and if you can't figure that out, then I don't know what to say, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Because even someone told me the other day, "Oh, well, Muslims this and Muslims that." I was like, okay, you might, that, there may be truth to some of that, there may not. It doesn't matter. Muslims were the only ones that actually helped me when I needed a lawyer to keep these criminals off my back from trying to unlawfully kidnap me. Like, so it's like the person in front of you should determine who they are and if there is someone that you can trust and work together with. And at this point, I don't care what you look like or where you come from. If you're on the right side of history and you're trying to help people, why wouldn't I work with you? If you're a good person, why wouldn't I respect you, like, as an individual? I'm not going to respect someone just because they're native or just because they're Christian or just because they're black. They could be trying to kill me.
I'm going to put it this way. Either you're going to do things to help protect children in your country, or you're going to protect the pedophiles. I don't care what bias it is. I don't care what it is inside of your head. If you are helping pedophiles, I got nothing to say
Exactly.
to you, right?
Right.
If you
just,
can't.
The only thing that I have to say about that is they have whatever it is that's coming to them.
Well, yes, because if something that makes you feel bad makes you want to protect pedophiles, rather like let kids get raped, then I got nothing to say to you, because that's absurd. Like, people are losing their country.
Yes.
Like, you're killing your own people, your own tribe, whatever, your own religion, whatever, because of whatever nonsense you have in your mind, and they're stealing children and raping them. That's.
But do you know what?
What?
Sorry, do you know what's actually crazy about that? If you're saying that your children are in danger as, like, white Americans or whatever, you're concerned about the welfare of these children because they're being abused by someone, or they're being murdered, or they're being trafficked, which is the case. It happens to everybody. Why would you imprison the wrong person? That means your children will be more in danger. They'll keep getting trafficked, they'll keep getting raped, they'll keep getting murdered, because the people who are doing it are allowed to go free to continue doing it, and they're giving you the false flag to imprison the wrong people so that they can continue to go around doing this to your own children. And you're condoning it because of your own hatred for those people.
It's because they're looking at their bad experiences rather than looking at the evidence in front of them.
But some of those bad experiences are even fake experiences.
Sorry, go.
Exactly. You go back to that the clip that was played there about these twins and this gentleman that went to jail for 44 years.
Yes.
That whole thing, like, that's a fake. It's all a setup, and it was just a deflection to get whatever she was doing wrong with her cousin off her, the heat off her, and put it on somebody else to make to attack somebody else. That's all it was. It was
that happens very often. I've watched this happen so much in so many different situations, where there was, even in cases where there's no reason, just because there's no real consequence, just because somebody felt bad, they let somebody get serious harm. And that kind of thinking, people like that are dangerous. I don't want to have anything to do with people like that, because you will sell out your mother because it makes you feel
Yep.
bad, right?
Exactly. For sure.
Yeah. So I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's more and more common every day. I've been watching it for years, and it's like when you start learning and you start seeing how people. It's so easy for them to deflect. If you don't know and you don't even know what you're looking for, then yeah, I understand that people don't get it. But this situation, and there's millions just like this one, that people are always trying to get the heat off them and put it on someone else because they're caught. They know they're caught. And they know eventually, like I'm sure when those twins first said it way back when, I bet you any money they went, what if we get caught? Right? Well, truth always comes out. And that's the faith I believe in everything in life. I don't care how bad your lie is. I don't care what you do. You're the truth. The actual truth will always come out. Everything that's going
Absolutely.
on in the world right now, the truth is going to come out.
Yep.
So
Yep.
stand in
People.
your
Yep.
faith, stand there and stand strong, and just keep pushing through, because honestly, the truth will come out. And I hope this guy that spent all this time in jail gets a big lump sum of money and gets to enjoy his life. And I pray that he gets justice.
Oh yes, we should do that.
Yeah. I
And
pray gets justice.
we're running up on time, and we need to just kind of close here. But like at the end of the day, we need to go back and start doing things properly, and not let our judgment be clouded in these kinds of things. And so we need to come together and start doing what's right. All right, let me close here with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. We thank you for the hope that you have given us, and open our hearts and minds to your will. And oh, Father, this day I ask of you to watch over us and to bless us and help the men and women to come together, that we can rebuild our families, our communities, our churches, and our nation, and that we would have some sensibility and protect our children, is my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. Thank you, guys. And we will see you again next time.
Yep.
All right.